If you can help, please call 486-5578. That's her number. They are accepting volunteers for anybody that would like to participate in the search. So of course our prayers are going out that they find Mr. Canlis.
8:45. Let's keep it in the KUAM News Zoom room, where we're now joined by the president of the Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association, Mary Rhodes. Good morning, Mary.
Hi, good morning.
How you doing?
Okay. How are you guys?
We're doing pretty good. Are you doing okay, Bree?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah. I know you guys have a busy week with GHRA, right?
Yeah, we've been working towards getting our second doses for our vaccination clinics. And then we were also given additional vaccines so that we can immunize more people. So for the month of April, we did receive 1,200 vaccines. Our request was 5,000, so we're still hoping to get more. You know, we really want to see the increase in vaccinations, especially at the workplace. But it's very encouraging to see that, that they've provided additional vaccination clinics to specific communities, right, in certain areas. So I think the key really is going out to where they live as well as where they work.
And so you said that the second dose, there's a clinic. I think I saw somewhere that there's another one scheduled for this week, right?
Yes, we have our vaccination clinic, and we still have some new registrations open. So we have April 14th, this Wednesday, April 14th from 4 to 7. And we have about, I believe, 200 registrations or appointments still open. So if anybody wants to sign up for that, I highly encourage them to come through. We've been timing each of our rapid testing sites as well as our vaccination clinics. And from point of entry, from beginning to end, we average about 23 minutes. And that includes your observation time to wait to see if you have any side effects. And the reason why it's not as long as others is because we do a pre-registration through this online system. And so it really does help alleviate any traffic concerns, any wait times, and then also just a delay in registration. You're able to come in very quickly because we've already pre-registered you.
And what was the turnout from the first one?
We had two previous clinics where we had 200 before and then 600 on March 31st. So we had about 800 in March. And, those were really for proof of concept and to make sure that we had our systems in place. So GHRA worked directly with the Guam Army National Guard with Colonel Mike Cruz and his team, and then also with GRMC and AMC. So through our joint efforts, we were able to work with public health. And since then, we've been able to get approval for 1,200 vaccines for the month of April.
Okay. Path to Half, May 1st is just a few weeks away.
Right.
Let's talk about the checklist for GHRA to prepare for the reopening.
Well, with the reopening task force, I know that they've been discussing a couple of things, and vaccines is only one of the different strategies in order to get to the path to half. We know that even at 50%, there's a certain amount of people in the community that are still very worried about taking the vaccine, and we hope we've done our part to educate the community. And so we did partner with the Guam Visitors Bureau to do a town hall forum. And so that is actually available on demand. If employers missed the televised date on that, it is available live stream. Not live stream, a recording on our YouTube channel as well as on the GBB website. And so we're hoping employers will use that to educate their employees so that they can continue to come out to our vaccine clinics that we're having at the Hyatt. Like I said, we only have 1,200 this month, but we're hoping, especially since Guam was able to successfully get 42,000, and I know they're planning to get more, that we can continue to have more worksite vaccinations. There have been requests to have additional sites as well, but we haven't been approved for additional vaccines yet. And so we'll certainly consider those as we move forward. The other things I know that they've been talking about is rapid testing, and I know Chris wanted to touch on that as well, is, it's important that we not only vaccinate, but if we're going to create that baseline and reassure the public, not just our local communities, but even, our key source markets, we will need to rapid test people as they go to large venues, large events, and then even at the places where they have point of contact with our tourists. And so the other thing that the reopening task force with GBB and GHRA, what they've been talking about with the governor's office, is also testing at the airport and lifting quarantine. So all of those things are being discussed, I know, for the month of May. And so as we continue to work towards vaccinating our community, those other things will become, more of a realization that they'll lift quarantine, and then also move beyond just the electronic form at the airport, but really look at testing. The one that we've been talking about more with GBB is really testing as people leave Guam, because they will need to test out so that they have a test before they get to their point of origin, their home country. And so that's really important. And so we're looking at different options. And so I hope that, we'll continue to go down this path and have very fruitful conversations, so we are able to position ourselves with our key source markets when they're ready to go, especially with outbound travel.
Mary, so when you talk about outgoing testing coming out of Guam for tourists, is this something that we would bear the cost of, just to, I guess, be nice to the tourists, or is it something that would be factored in? Because it's like a couple $100, right, to get tested,
Or is it rapid or PCR?
Right.
It would have to be PCR because that's what's accepted on the outbound. Even with the military, PCR testing is required, right? They don't recognize anything else. And so I know at GBB, it's been in the media at the board meeting. They did discuss proposing paying for it. If you look at other countries, though, they don't pay for that. But other places I saw just recently, like Malta and some other countries, they're giving people stipends for traveling to their places, to their destinations, in order to entice travelers to want to come there. So I think that whether it's paying for your outbound PCR test or looking at other kinds of promotional programs, I know that in the past we've compensated agents $100 per seat per tourist to build packages to come to Guam. So that has been in the budget in the past, to put $100 in to compensate agents per tourist. Regardless if it's families, couples, single people, it's $100 per person is what we budgeted in the past at GBB. So different incentive programs have been in place. It just might look differently, right, in our COVID environment. But I don't think that paying for PCR testing or any kind of testing is currently budgeted at this time. But it would take, the new request that Governor Carl Gutierrez and Jerry have put in to the governor's office out of the new relief package. They did set aside a certain amount that they wanted to request to rebuild tourism. So I hope that those dollar amounts are put into that new budget should they get approved for that funding.
All of that.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot, like I've always said, it's not just getting ready with quarantine and vaccinations and testing out. We have to make sure we also start negotiating with the airlines and really get ahead of that scheduling, because scheduling takes 3 to 6 months, right? At least 3 months. And then for any of our tourists to consider coming to Guam, it's going to take another 3 months or so. Probably some travelers would be able to book quickly to get here. But there are a lot of moving parts, as we've talked about before. And I think that, the goal has been to get vaccinations increased, and we are doing that. But, we're going to hit a plateau, I think, at some point at the 50% or 60%. So we really have to come up with additional strategies to get people vaccinated. I think that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to affect us in the next month. So really strategizing on how to increase vaccinations is really important. And then at the same time, managing all of the other strategies so that we're ahead of it rather than reacting to it. I think that's going to be really key all at the same time.
Have you heard anything about the further easing of restrictions, capacity levels on May 1? Or even another extension of the public health emergency?
No, everything that I've been hearing is as of May, we're planning to lift. We've seen things shift to the right, though, at times, depending on where we're at with the numbers. And I think that it just all depends on the numbers again. Yeah. We've seen things shift to the right each time when the numbers weren't satisfying those who are making those decisions. But I really do hope that, we kind of draw that line in the sand, and so we can move forward on the other initiatives, because it will take some time to build, and it will take some time to build that public confidence. And so the earlier we can kind of get away from quarantine and emergency declaration, the sooner we can all start working towards that rebuilding of our economy. So it's really important to start really meeting those timelines, those milestones, so everybody else can start relying on that. But I haven't heard of any additional lifting of guidelines. I know that there's one thing that we've been asking, public health on is really regarding capacity in ballrooms for events and things like that. That has been limited, right, to 50, but even though you have 50% occupancy, it's still limited to congregation. And so that's what has been a real challenge for a lot of the businesses, is still managing congregation. But the fact that we've seen an increase in that recently, I think is good. And businesses will need to adjust for that, as well as families in our community. And I think people have been doing that recently. I know I attended a wedding recently, and they had to do 2 seatings, just like you would on Mother's Day or other things. Is you have to do 2 seatings because you're limited to 50 in a room.
GVB, they just announced those 25 businesses that receive a Guam Safe certification. Is this something that GHRA is kind of working with their membership? Hey, go out and get this certification. It's important as we reopen.
Yeah, GHRA was part of that earlier planning process with regards to the WTTC. And so we definitely want to encourage all of our members. It's on our website, it's on our Facebook page. But like you said, I think that GVB and GHRA will have to start encouraging people to really sign up for this, because right now they announced this about a month ago, and it was right around the same time we did the Vaccination Clinic, and also the electronic forms at the airport. And so a lot of things were coming out at the same time. And so I think we need to give this a little bit more attention to really educate people on how to do this. Right now, it is a free program. All of the forms are available on the GVB website. You can download it. And we definitely want all of the businesses to sign up for this, because then you'll be part of the promotion when GVB promotes the safe businesses that our tourists and even our local community can go to. So I think it is really important that everybody sign up for this. It is a free program, and the tools are available. And we're hoping to do additional things like training, education, to help support the safe health and safety protocols that come with that stamp of approval.
Okay, so can you just kind of give us a summary on what exactly this is? It just kind of is like a stamp of approval to say, hey, we're what?
Yeah, it really was developed initially from the WTTC website. The airport was the first entity to receive the stamp of approval. And so GDB received the stamping authority. And WTTC is an international organization. And if you look at other destinations, they really have looked at different programs to consider what do we say out to the community, out to the public, to our tourists and international markets, that we're doing all we can to promote that we are a safe destination. And so the first part of it was to get the stamping authority. The second part was to identify what do you have to meet the minimum criteria to receive the stamp. And so they decided to just go with public health's reopening guidelines. So if you can just meet the reopening guidelines and fill out the risk assessment form, which is a self-guided checklist, and turn in your documents, then you'll receive the stamping authority. We're hoping that this will have also sustainability, where, like I said, we can do training and education. And that's the part where GHRA wanted to participate in with UOG, where we can have classes, we can have booklets, additional forms, signage also is available. If you want to promote your company as being WTTC approved, then you have signage available to put out for POS materials or signage at your establishment. So there are a lot of supporting materials so you can align yourself with this. A lot of markets, a lot of destinations have these kinds of approval. It's not a new program. It's actually a really old concept, especially in foreign markets where, you as a visitor, you're not sure whether or not you can trust a certain establishment. So this is a great way to kind of create some commonality, some basic foundation stuff for us to re-engage with the community and have a simple way to communicate that we have done our part to promote the health and safety protocols. We have basic guidelines from public health, and these businesses meet it. So they've made it really easy for the first part of the program, where all you have to do is actually meet public health's reopening guidelines.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we could definitely add to it later, but we wanted, we wanted to not make it as difficult as possible. We figured majority of the businesses should already qualify by just meeting public health guidelines.
Yeah, I'm surprised it was only 25. I figured it would be, a pretty big, large number. All right.
Thank you, Mary. Right on. Mary Rhodes, president of GHRA. Let's say bye now because you're blinking out.
Sorry, I pressed the wrong button, but thank you guys for always following up with us. We really hope, and also we want to hear from the community. So if businesses have any questions, if they need assistance with their reopening, GHRA has always offered their services, as well as, I know the Guam Chamber of Commerce and other organizations who've been really working hard during the pandemic. Our organizations are really here for you as a member trade organization, but there are a lot of regulations even being considered right now that's going to affect businesses in the remainder of this year. And so if you need any guidance or assistance, that's what we're here for. And so certainly, please reach out to us. We would like to know what help you need during this time, even if it's, assistance with inspections or fire department to know your occupancy level. We've provided those services. So we're certainly here to help. Our email is info@ghra.org, and you can reach us at 649-1447 or go to our website, ghra.org.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you.
Stay safe and come out to the vaccine clinic May 14th, 4 to 7 at the Hyatt. If you want the link, we'll provide it to Jason so that he can send that out as well.
All right.
There you go. Thank you.
Stay safe.
9:03. Let's go ahead and